Tired of negative content that brings you and your algorithm down, ruining your day? Don't be that guy. Level up your screen time. Welcome to 216 Creator Studios. We are fun, funny, informational, educational, entertaining, motivating, and we are here for your listening and viewing pleasure. Make sure you check out The Grounds. Every Friday morning, we live stream at 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Kent, Drew, Scott, Steve, and Kelsey will make you laugh, cry, and learn something new. Or how about Let's Talk Local, a community podcast spotlighting local businesses and events and the stories of how and why they do what they do. Or how about Around the Piano, where Tim Paul and Drew Cappuccino interview new, talented musicians as well as some of the great titans of the music industry. And if none of that strikes your fancy, how about one of my personal favorites, The Stories of the Paranow. Watch as Seabass, and myself research, react, and judge some of the craziest paranormal articles and videos that we can find on the net. And if none of those strike your fancy, we have so many other shows to watch, and we're bringing new ones in all the time. So go to YouTube, 216 Creator Studios, hit that live tab, hit that like button, that share button, that comment button, that subscribe button, ring that bell so that you never miss an episode. Our shows are broadcast on youtube.com/@216thenet/streams. Find us, follow us, and get inspired today. 216 Creator Studios, content that moves you forward.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Cappuccino behind the scenes here at another awesome episode of Stories of the Paranow. My, oh my. How are we doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good. It's not technically the St. Patty's Day episode, but we're going to say it is because we can. That's literally it. But
Irish.
Irish. And we actually do have a story from Ireland today. We have a story of a mysterious death of a group of people, and then we have a Flatwoods monster. But before we get into that, how are we doing today, guys?
I'm fantastic.
I'm doing great. Everything is wonderful. Yes.
You know, if you guys like what you see here today, make sure you go to the old Google box on YouTube there. 216 Creator Studios.
My bad.
216, throw it up, Tbone.
You messed it up.
Make sure you hit that live tab, like, share, subscribe, and make sure you ding that bell for future notifications. We appreciate everybody's support. Tbone, great job on the ad, buddy.
I appreciate it. Thank
I
you
loved
so
it.
much.
That was the first time I've seen it. And
Yeah.
Man, big wrestling promo vibes, and I love it.
I was very angry. I was angry at you for not subscribing. Specifically.
We have so many takes and so many outtakes on that.
Honestly, that should be
wait
one
for
of
that
ours.
reel to come out, right?
Yeah, that should be one of them, just right at the front there. We like to take things seriously, but not too seriously.
Not too serious.
Not too serious.
Tyler, don't feel bad. I mean, I had plenty
Who
of
feels
outtakes
bad?
myself.
Who feels bad?
I thought, you know what? I was reading your body language, and I thought you were here for probably like 2 hours, like I was. So, but that was just because they were peppering me.
We also have a couple special guests behind the scenes here. We have Deke Jones in the house. Deke being the deacon with a couple spiritual things that he might want to add to the story.
I was just waving to the fans out there and to all the spirits as well.
Yeah, that's true.
That's all. Okay, so what do we got? Who we start with?
We can start with our usual pecking order.
Okay.
of Sebastian.
That would
Alright.
be Irish.
The Lady
Women
in
in
White.
white.
Hoy to toy.
Why is it always a lady in white? Why is
I
it
don't
always a woman
know.
in white?
Because it's a ghost.
Yeah,
It's like spooky.
yeah, but can't we like
There's
have?
nothing spooky about chartreuse.
It's true.
I don't know. If you put a chartreuse dress in front of me, I might look at you funny.
The Lady in Mauve from 1985.
It's
The
true.
lady in fuchsia.
Hey, man.
Hotel
Good
curtain wrapped
stuff.
around.
Why can't it be like a dude in white?
Did you just hear yourself? The legends tell of the dude in white. Do you know what I mean? That sucks.
It's very broad. Anyway,
My bad, Sebastian.
back to Irish horror. So we got the lady in white at the Anyway, sorry. So something, because I was in the St. Patty's mood, I thought, oh, you know what? Maybe see what's going on over in good old Ireland, see what kind of paranormal they got going around. And I kind of came across this, the White Lady in Kinsale.
There's a lot of white ladies in Ireland.
It's true,
Yeah.
but
Can
this
may have
one,
to be more
An Irish
specific.
brogue.
But- say again.
Can you do it in an Irish brogue by any chance?
The White Lady. No, I can't. I'm not gonna try it. I ain't gonna try it. Irish is not in my DNA as far as I know. So
It's like, save me.
hoity-toity-toity. Anyway,
Really?
Uh,
If you had the chance. It's Scottish.
it's not in my blood. So, the White Lady of Kinsale. What I discovered is an old tale about I believe it was a married couple, and the husband in question was in the army or in their military, and he was located in the Charles Fort in Cork. And then one night he was he was sleeping at his post, and he was just shot, just because he was asleep at his post. So they ain't no messing around there in Ireland. So distraught by this news, his wife just jumped to her death from the fortress walls, and just that was the end of it. And sometime later, there was just many stories going around and many sightings going around of this ghost appearing, this white lady appearing, and all sorts of stories came about. Stop laughing. And there's all sorts of stories.
I'm sorry.
I knew by the title.
I'm sorry. It's just they're not going to be that surprised to see a white lady walking around. There's a lot of white ladies in Kinsale.
But this is a ghost.
Per chance, it's just someone's cousin
Yes.
coming to visit.
It's true. So yeah, there's been
A lot of pale white ladies too.
So there have just been many tales, many stories of, this apparition, as you may call it, roaming about, and many, people getting shoved, people hearing things, people seeing things through the halls or outside. And it is just, it's kind of, as many of the stories we tell, it's kind of taken on different forms. And, but, we're talking about something that supposedly occurred hundreds of years ago. And so that's probably where you get your different stories and different takes on it, but that's the general story of it. So I mean, yeah, there's a lot going on there.
Very much so. Yes, it's a
Very similar.
very interesting story.
Well, so is that similar to the Americanized story of the woman in white?
Yeah.
There's so many different sightings at different places
Yeah.
of this theory, right? This lore.
And it's always grief about a dead husband.
Why can't it be something else?
I would like to see the ghost that's just like really upset that like I don't know. I thought I'd have a
Sometimes
punchline for
it's-
this, y'all, but I got to be honest. I'm tapping out.
Sometimes
I
it's
thought
in
I'd have a
reverse.
punchline to finish this
a
joke.
man grieving
Yeah.
his dead wife?
You ever seen Bram Stoker's Dracula? He was tricked into thinking that his wife was. Oh, I don't remember the movie. I don't know. I could be completely
We're really
wrong.
rocking, guys.
I could be completely
We're
wrong.
doing good.
You skipped over just a ton of detail. I mean, this is a good story because she was the commander's daughter,
Oh,
and the commander is the one who shot her husband.
Oh,
Now
Oh, that's the
we get a little
juicy
deeper.
bits.
oh shit. we're very in deep.
Wait.
Okay.
Right? So This lady's hanging around forever now.
Oh yeah.
She's a very scorned woman.
Yeah. I mean,
that commander
according to
has
the
been
picture,
trying to
she
shoot
looks
that
very
guy
scorned.
since he first got on the base.
They
I
didn't have
swear to
cameras.
God.
He had very bad first impressions.
Yeah.
I guess we could take a moment to like kind of dissect women in white in general, because I feel like you guys said, this happens very frequently. We have tons of stories in America about a woman in white, especially when it comes to like bridges or like overpasses or like,
Right.
you know,
Winding roads in the forest.
Yeah. There's always like a thematic thing with it. And like sometimes there's no, like a lot of times it is because their husband died and she was a grieving woman and she threw herself off the bridge, or in this case off the wall. But like I think it's interesting how the theme, like the parallels between our lore in that way and Irish lore are like they stay the same.
I mean, a lot of them probably came over, right? Like a lot of it is probably stories that like originated in the old country that like immigrated over with like people.
Yeah, but even in like countries like Japan has variations of women in white, and I think that's super fascinating.
I wonder how much of it is just like kind of throwing it back to like the brownstone lights that I was talking about a few weeks ago. I wonder how much of it is just like weird, bright electrical things that like people couldn't explain.
Yeah,
where there was like, it kind of looks like a woman.
You kind of see something out of the corner of your eye, and it's like a white blur.
Yeah,
like I mean, a lot of you can get into a lot of like possession myths with not possession. That's not the word I'm looking for. Well done, Tyler. No, like a lot of paranormal stuff in general is like if you look into it, like if you look into a lot of like, oh, my house is haunted or whatever. A lot of it is like hallucinations brought on by low frequency sounds that people hear that can actually like trigger hallucinations. And I wonder sometimes how many stories or products and things like that.
Just like
always skeptical
hallucinations, or
yeah. I mean, I don't have it in front of me because that would require me to do any amount of research for this show. But yeah, like I've read in the past about explanations for why people who have no history of any sort of like visual or auditory hallucinations could end up seeing like such profoundly like strange things, and it's been posited that that certain frequencies, when you hear them, can trigger sort of auditory and visual hallucinations.
I think that's also been tested.
Yeah,
on multiple occasions, actually.
Well, I think that all stories come from a baseline somewhere, right? And so all the different variables to it and the different stories, somewhere along the line, there was something similar that went down. And then it's the game of telephone.
Yeah.
Right.
It's get passed on, rewritten. What are our thoughts about this being a real deal?
I mean, all of the components of the story make a certain amount of sense. Like I could buy the fact that like some commander like didn't like her, his daughter's husband, boyfriend, whatever, who ended up being under his command and was like, oh, this is an excellent opportunity for me to shoot him and be done with it.
Yeah.
And then someone being driven mad by grief. I imagine that all of those things have happened at some point in time. I don't know if they all happened at the same time and then the lady became a ghost. But like in terms of like ghost stories that I've heard, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah. Seabass, you're the one that found it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts to it? Real, not real?
I mean, again, like I think either I don't know which one you said, like, yeah, you kind of see like the way in light stories all across the globe and whatnot, whether it's on an island, whether it's on a ship, whether it's, in a fortress or in a battle. I think I don't know, for some reason, fortresses and battlefields, like ghost stories on those are very fascinating to me a little bit, just because of like, I remember when I went to Gettysburg a long time ago, and I thought Gettysburg was just a big field. I thought the battle just happened on a big field. But then you go do the tour and it's the whole town.
Oh.
And then you hear a bunch of stories about, what happened around the entire town. From like stop by stop by stop by stop around this whole giant area. And then you start hearing the stories, you know, hundreds of years after the fact of like, because you can't imagine like some of these, you know, battlefields and such where there was just so many bodies laying all over the place. So many people died in days. So, and that really brings probably, I don't know if you guys have probably heard a lot, it brings like a definite like negative or like kind of depressing energy when you're just kind of walking around.
Yeah, when I see dead bodies, I don't typically get a positive feeling in my chest.
No, but in a place where like that much just death happened at once, and it just kind of lingers for, you know, 50 hundreds of years. So, I mean, but yeah, that's one little aspect that I kind of find interesting, like whether it's in a, you know, a battlefield or a fort or just a place where that much like destruction happened at once, no matter how long ago, as you know, if it's well documented and well recorded, you know, probably the more you know about it, the, you know, the worse it may be, or the worse it may be, just because of just all that negative energy just builds up.
The lack of details that you don't even have on it.
Yeah,
maybe it could definitely work both ways. But yeah, I mean, yeah, with the common theme of waiting lady in white, but with that added element of like, oh yeah, it was, who knows what happened at that fortress, you know, hundreds of years ago, how many, you know, died and whatnot. So it is.
Do you think it's like a poltergeist then?
No.
She got excited about that.
I did.
Maya, you got a quick take on this before we hit the next one?
Yeah. So I'm going to say that she did die there. I do think that her dad killed her husband. And I do think that really happened. But I'm going to say that this was like seeing her. I'm going to say that was people just trying to fuck with each other.
Yeah.
And then it just kept going.
It's like that small town lore that
you
know, the kids get involved in, and next becomes this thing.
Yeah, like I know normally I'm the one that's like totally ghost, totally real, but I think in this case, I think it's 100% like people just built, like saying I saw it happen, and now I see her ghost up there, and then pushing the lore.
Yeah, I'm gonna be 100% honest. This is like the total like small town ghost story bingo. Like every single thing I've heard at least 3 or 4 different versions of in different stories. I feel like people have like 2 or 3 different versions of like ghost stories that they tell, and I think this is one of them. So I'm not.
Well, you know, this was an episode on Supernatural where Dean and Sam actually had to fight this ghost.
Yeah, the one by the bridge.
If it was on Supernatural, it was
yeah.
You know, it has to be.
Yeah.
CW documentary channel.
Yeah. Deke, got anything you want to add to this?
Well, this might be racist, but they're in a country.
Hell yeah, that's
they're in a whose diet consists of a lot of beer and potato.
Yeah.
And there are reports up until 1921, when the fort was handed over to the Irish, that a lot of the soldiers would get pushed down the stairways by a mysterious force, which happens to be Guinness.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. My favorite force.
You drunk again, Bob? No, it's the ghost over there.
My favorite force of nature, Guinness.
My Irish sounds like Cheech and Chong. I don't know what's going on.
No, that sounds like my people. Absolutely.
Rock on.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe the colonel was drunk when he shot him.
Yeah.
Probably. Likely. That's probably a time period where water was less safe to drink water than a beer.
Big shout out to Nico for the background on today's episode.
Oh yeah.
That's great, man.
That's very cool.
I love my little skull over here.
I like this. I like the Slender Man like figure in the background.
Oh. Yeah.
Well done, Nico. Golf clap. All right, moving on. We are moving on. So she's got like a book in front of her. We're gonna go ahead.
Man, I wish I did a tenth of the research Miley did.
Hey Tbone, where's your notes?
Man, yeah.
Hey.
Man, yeah. You ever?
hold up.
You ever sit
My
next
first episode here, I did
You did
stand here
excellent.
an hour and a half by myself. All right, relax.
You did. You know.
Okay. It's just
And I got something. All right, I got something.
I feel like I'm sitting next to
Little
the
good.
smart person in math class. I'm about to take
hey,
the test.
hey, man. I'm Asian, but I'm not that Asian.
Why'd you have to take it there? I didn't mean it like that.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did. He did.
Yes, he did.
Hate everything.
Cancel him.
Damn it.
You
We'll
did.
get those emails.
Damn it. I'm going to get replaced by Nico.
Yeah, warm up.
Get ready, Nico.
We'll just deep fake it. Don't worry about it.
No, but there is a reason why I took so many notes on this one, because there are a lot of moving parts and there are a lot of theories and honestly just a ton of information online. So to preface, I would love for anyone watching this to, I'm not going to be able to go over all this. That's just bottom line. I really am not going to be able to go over every single freaking detail because there's just so much happening in this particular story.
Knowing there's going to be a PowerPoint and a chart somewhere, you know.
And if you click here, you'll be able to reach my thesis statement.
That's right. That's right.
But my dissertation is linked below. But so this happened fairly recently, given some of the stories we tell here, in 1959. This happened during the Soviet Union, where 10 hikers went on a hike together. They were all graduate or undergraduate students, and 9 of them, I should say, died very mysteriously, extremely mysteriously. They were supposed to be gone for around 10 days, and they were all found dead, except for one who decided to turn back and go home on like the first day. No, really, they are alive. I don't know if they're alive now, but they did live.
I must know if we need a tinfoil hat for this one.
I'm gonna say yes? Question mark.
In order the hats there, Nico.
We keep forgetting the tinfoil
I
hat.
know.
But so to
Our
start,
brainwaves are completely unprotected.
absolutely. So most people know that like going hiking can be quite dangerous. This one in particular was a group of experienced hikers, especially the I'll call him leader for lack of a better term right now. I think it was just because he like planned the whole thing. His name was Igor Dyatlov. Sorry, I don't speak Russian. Dyatlov, which the pass is now named after him, kind of as like a memorial. He had gotten together with all of these people to go hiking because they were trying to get certified for like a hiking certification, which I'd never heard of until I was researching this. But apparently at this point in time, in order to go on certain paths and certain hiking trails, you had to have a certain level of skill, which actually kind of makes sense. Honestly, that kind of makes sense. And so they were working to try and get up to a 3rd level certificate, which is the highest level that you can have. Well, you could have at that point. So these people were super prepared. They all had they had a ton of gear, like skiing items. Igor Dyatlov had created I'm doing my best.
You keep bringing it up just so you can use the accent, huh?
Igor.
Dyatlov.
Am I doing that?
Igor, drink vodka.
Yeah. Did you not realize?
No, I didn't.
Did you not realize?
I didn't want to say anything.
Did you not realize you turned into
figured-
Boris Yeltsin every time? No.
I figured you're such a mess. Maybe that was in you too.
This story is just reaching into the depths of my soul and pulling out some vodka.
Yeah.
No.
Very culturally sensitive podcast today.
Middle name. Natasha.
That's okay.
Very-
Natasha.
Oh my
Fine.
gosh. No, I'm not trying to do that.
It's hard. When you see a Russian name, you can't
She's
help.
absolutely trying to do that. Cancel her.
Now
Can't.
let's hear her continue on as we see if she's going to continue.
I'm gonna say it in the most frat boy voice I can moving forward.
I love giving my best friends complexes about the things that they say.
Moving forward, I will only be saying it as either as Barbie or a frat boy. There will be no in between. Anyway, So everyone was rather skilled. I can't remember where I was at now, man.
Sorry.
It's okay. Everybody had some sort of skill as far as like hiking. They had some sort of experience. They were good enough to at least be attempting to get their third certificate or get certified on the third level. And in this instance, they were taking a trail that was pretty notoriously difficult. I'm not really sure if it was provided to them that they had to do this in order to get certified, or if they chose that specifically and then just face the consequence. But they were up in the northern Ural Mountains, which has a lot of indigenous people, and has a lot of it's very hilly, very, very dense forest, super dangerous to hike. I'm going to keep reiterating that because it was super, super dangerous. I mean, part of one of the areas was literally called it translates to "do not go," essentially. I'm not joking.
Now, is this hiking or skiing?
This is
Hiking.
It's hiking.
It's hiking, but in certain parts, of very cold environments, to hike somewhere is to essentially cross country ski.
Yeah,
because you need some sort of assistance to get over the snow.
Yeah. So honestly, I think this could be better described less as hiking and more like surviving, to be completely honest.
Because it says this group would have to ski 200 miles.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes.
In those conditions, probably feels like a lot longer.
This was also they left on January 31st. So this was middle of winter.
Wow.
Okay.
Like dead set in winter. And
Way to schedule it.
I was gonna say, do you think that's necessary to become a third level hiker, or is it just
That's a good point.
No, it is.
way that I've ever heard.
No, but
I'm a third level hiker.
Yes, I am from Seattle.
I get an extra hiking spell slot at the next level.
I get extra granola now.
I'm level 3, guys.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if this was like a
Shit, when you can make Tbone laugh like that, you know you did something good.
What are you talking about? I'm a very joyful person.
Oh, you are.
I have a life full of mirth.
It's all that drinking you do before you get it.
I don't drink.
No, I know.
Don't say that to the son of an alcoholic.
Dude, just got real deep here with the studio.
And we're getting into new topics on this episode.
Continue on.
Yeah, sorry.
Continue on.
God,
I'm sorry.
Bad.
We're horrible.
God, I love y'all.
Folks, it's us.
God,
Please.
cancel us.
It's me. It's me.
What
Page?
page on the chart did we leave off on the PowerPoint?
That's a good question. I fell down the stairs and then I stood back up. But again, I don't know if they had to go at a specific time or if I don't know the prerequisite for that. Again, there's a ton of information out on the internet. Some of it is a bit contradictory, but at the very least, we know a couple things. They had ample supplies. They were very well prepared for this hike. They had been planning it for quite a while. They knew it was going to be like a 10-day trip, and they were journaling, they were taking pictures, and they were also sending notes back home. They were in contact with people.
So everything was like fine.
Yeah, everything was fine. It was normal. And it wasn't until the family of some of the hikers, because again, all of these are like kids in their 20s. I say kids as if I'm not firmly 24. But the families,
I breathe deeply.
but the families they grew concerned because they hadn't heard from them, and they kind of forced someone to look into them and do a search and rescue, especially since there had been quite a bit of snow, a lot of snow that had occurred. And so a search and rescue happened, and what they found were mostly the remnants of a camp, which just looked tattered. I mean, the tents were broken down, or at the very least had holes in them now. One of them looked like it had been cut from the inside. and they didn't see anyone there. It looked like something had gone through and just like it destroyed it. And so a little further from the camp, they ended up finding give me a moment. Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivoshenko. I can't do it like that. I can't. No.
Yuri. Just be Natasha Romanoff and speak the Russian.
Yeah.
My parents
the most Russian woman on the planet,
Scarlett Johansson.
Hey man, she's played all types of roles.
It's somewhere in the Infinity Gauntlet.
A woman's trying to catch them all.
Yeah.
She's trying to collect them all. But they were found by a cedar tree, and something that was noted when they were found was that there was like a little fire that was lit. So it looked like they were trying to survive, and they were also like fully naked. They had some underwear on and maybe some socks, but these people were like, they were nude.
So like full hypothermia.
Yeah. That is one of that's actually the leading, the official reason behind this is that they died from hypothermia. Yeah. And then not too far from there, they found three other bodies, including Dyatlov.
Dyatlov.
I'm trying.
Dyatlov.
But they found them.
Willing to admit on camera.
Jesus Christ. But they found the three other bodies, and notably one of them had a fracture in their skull, and then they were also naked, but they also had they had burn marks that couldn't really be explained, and all of them looked like they were like trying to get back to camp and like positioned like they were trying to crawl back or like get back. It was pretty jarring. If you look this up, I do want to warn you about some of the images that you will see, because there are images. Again, this was in 1959. They had cameras. Please be warned.
Are there crime scene photos?
Yeah, there are crime scene photos. This was actually looked into a couple of years back in 2019. Like, this is officially a closed case now.
During the vid? During the COVID?
During the vid.
Yeah.
Wow.
During the vid, they opened this back up, and the official statements are out as of 2021.
Yeah.
Moscow Task Force clearly had nothing better to do.
Yeah.
You know, there was
nobody had anything better to do.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yes, that's what I'm saying. They're like, well, fuck it, we're at home. Why not?
So I mean, so it sounds like there's some trauma. There's blunt force trauma going on. Everybody's naked. Everybody's dead. It's cold. It's a shitty deal. At the end of the day, do we think that foul play was involved, or did everybody eat the wrong mushrooms?
Well, they didn't find 4 of the bodies until May.
Really?
Those were the first 5 they found. Like, I wouldn't want to say like immediately, because they were out there for a while. They left on the 31st and they weren't really found until like the 12th or the 26th. Okay. They were out there for quite some time, and they couldn't find the other 4 bodies until the snow freaking melted.
Okay.
And then they found the other 4. Okay. And those 4 were all bundled up. Like, bundled up.
The 4 that were
everybody else's clothes on that were naked?
Yeah.
Oh.
Wait, so the 4 that were found later were bundled up.
Yeah, they had like,
that makes more sense.
They had like 2 pairs of pants. They had like 2 hats on. They were like in positions where it looked like they were trying to keep each other warm.
So those 4 yopped the other 5 is what I'm hearing.
I'm not entirely sure of that.
That seems to be a fair statement. Yeah, maybe we don't have any proof of that.
Well,
right? But
here's the thing, is that some of them were like, 2 of them specifically were like spooning each other essentially, and looked like they were trying to keep warm. Other ones were like, one of them was found with like holding his chest, like he was trying to tear his shirt off. And then there were multiple had broken ribs, like they had broken bones, another skull fracture, and then another one had her tongue missing.
Damn.
Yes.
That's crazy.
I'm going
Yes.
back to the mushroom statement.
Okay,
I mean,
no, that's honestly like I'm not
hallucinating.
But,
People
yeah.
are freaking out. Conspiracies
severe
kind of
temperatures
happening.
can also make people hallucinate.
Well, yeah,
Like,
man. I mean,
we don't even necessarily need to, someone ate the wrong mushroom.
Mhm.
well,
And if we want to get really dumb, which I often do, this is a very cold, very remote part of Russia.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So
Yes.
earlier
Soviet
on,
Union.
yeah. Earlier on, we mentioned that one of the tents was destroyed.
Yeah, so the tents, a lot of the tents were destroyed because of just general being out in the snowy.
Just harsh
So
weather.
there weren't I don't know, bite marks. There weren't claw marks.
Yeah, I was
there
thinking
weren't-
animal attack.
So
There-
bear
At
or
first.
obviously something would be the logical. But if we wanted to get illogical, are there Yeti rumors in this part
There
of Russia?
are!
Yes,
There are!
yes.
bring it to the Yeti.
So the leading theory for the Yeti theory is that they had some pretty substantial injuries,
Yeah,
and it
okay.
looked like they were running from the camp. A lot of people were
Yeah.
confused why they weren't like actually because they were pretty far from the camp, to be
Yeah,
completely
okay.
honest. I shouldn't say pretty far from the camp, but they were far enough.
Far enough.
Far
yeah.
enough.
This is a part of the world where like you have to have fucking skis. They were far enough.
They were
if they're
far
just
enough.
Crawling.
Well, and the
Yeah,
skis
'cause
were
you're
still
in
at
the
the
middle of
camp.
nowhere.
Too. The skis were still at the camp.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's like
a lot of people question like, why are they even away from the camp?
yeah.
Like, what caused them to do that? But it also looked like the way that some of them were positioned when they died just looked like
Right.
they looked like they were
Panic.
trying to run away.
Right.
It was like it was like, remember when we were going over the ghost ship and how people were like
Yep.
their
Yeah,
faces
yeah.
were in
Yeah.
shock. It was like that.
Well, and so that brings back to a good point. So, we can hang on to that Yeti theory.
And we should.
And we should. I'm
Choo-choo.
gonna, hey, listen, we're back in the day. We're gonna do this Russian stage 3 certificate maneuver. We're out there. Bob's out picking out things to make the next soup.
yeah.
Everybody's eating the soup. Things get a little weird. Next thing you know, people are naked, laying in the snow, trying to crawl. Someone's got a fractured skull because there was a fight. One chick said, "I'm gonna tell somebody. That's it. I'm going to the authorities." They rip her tongue out.
Well,
And so there's a lot of different ways this can go.
Well, here's the issue with that. While they were alive, they were really documenting things super well
Okay.
I mean-
Until the soup.
until the soup. No, but they had like no, but they had like everybody was like was writing in the journal. Some of them were even like, because there's always one guy that's like, I'm not doing that, and so they were like, they wrote something along the lines of like, I did my best.
okay.
So it was a very well documented thing, and they were taking pictures. There are lots of pictures of them on this hike up until
that
moment
moving
Yeah,
forward.
yeah,
yeah.
Right? So if it is a Yeti, okay, let's go there because I keep
Yeah.
Tbone smiling.
I want it to be.
So let's just say Yeti just bops one guy in the head, fractures his skull, takes all the clothes off all the dead people, rips out a tongue. Why is the other guy got his clothes like he's ripping it off? None of that would make sense to a Yeti.
No.
For a Yeti being involved.
Mhm.
No,
So
absolutely not.
give me some theories on that, T.
So all right.
Choo choo.
Realistically,
Choo-choo.
let's talk. If we want to talk about what actually probably happened, and not just what happened in the palace of my mind, like
Well, that's a
realistically, like, hey man, realistically, hypothermia makes you do some crazy shit.
it does.
Like you will eventually, if you are so cold that you are about to die, before the end, before you go, you will feel so warm that you can't stand it. Like you will end up, and this is actually incredibly common in hypothermia deaths to have
Let me
Close.
stop you right there. I just need to know what the hell Maya is doing with Charlie.
Stop it.
What are you doing with Charlie?
Trying to tell a
I've
story.
been doing weird shit with Charlie Blood all.
Yeah, but now he's off the table and her hands on
You
her
break
lap.
his
I don't
leg?
know what's happening over there.
Break his leg.
Oh, did you break Charlie?
Did you break Charlie?
I fixed him.
Oh, you
Give me
did.
the
Yeah.
thing. You don't
It's a
deserve it.
Yeti.
You'll
Get
see.
in the goddamn studio.
You'll see the moment where I'm like trying to twist his leg, and then it goes, and I go,
She slowly brings him up and over. I'm like, I need to know. I'm sorry. Can you go on? Continue.
No, but like,
How
yeah,
did the Yeti
it's-
kill him?
It's essentially like you'll find that in because this I didn't want to get into this too early. This is not the only weird story about a bunch of hikers dying in the Russian wilderness that
Right.
I've ever heard.
no.
There's another one that I thought this was at the beginning that I was very excited.
Yeah, you got
about.
very excited for a moment.
Because I thought I knew the story, but it turns out it's a different story. This is a thing that apparently happened a lot in ye old Soviet Union. And in that story, there were two separate groups of hikers, and in both of the groups that died, they also had stripped off their clothes, and they had also began to run away from the campsite. And I'm wondering if maybe they were running away from the fire. Because if they are so warm that they feel like their skin is melting off, which is something that happens, you probably want to get as far away from the fire as humanly possible. They could have just put it out, but I'm assuming you're not thinking super clearly in that moment.
Well, when Deke, I know, had frostbite on his fingers. And what does that feel like?
It burns.
Right.
It's not cold. It burns.
And so how long
Yeah.
ago was that?
What was I? At 19, 20? Yeah, so 5 years ago. Yeah.
And so when it's cold now, what happens?
My fingers burn.
Yeah.
Mm.
Hurt bad. Yeah.
So that brings me to a good point that you're saying, as if it's that cold and people are getting frostbitten and they're by the fire and they're running from it, that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And that is a phenomenon called paradoxical or paradoxica undressing. There's a term for it.
Hey,
You got me on that. That's a $1 million word I don't even understand.
It's exactly what you guys are talking about. That's just the term for it.
Awesome.
paradoxical undressing is an excellent name for a DJ set.
Oh my God. Welcome to ladies and gentlemen, paradoxical undressing.
So in your notes, how far into this journey did the one survivor leave?
Very early.
So like day 2.
Yeah.
Like the hell. is this?
Very early.
I don't need my level 3.
yeah. I couldn't find why they left. I just saw on multiple occasions. So they're like, no, they left.
When were they reported seen? That's the real question.
I
I mean, were they tracking behind them because they hated them all? And
Yeah.
then,
That's
survivalists,
a
there's
good
two
point.
things. Maybe I had wet clothes. I had to get out of my wet clothes. So I got naked, stood by the fire.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
The others didn't have wet clothes. So I'm going to bundle up and layer up. So there's two trains of thought there for survivalists. Right. The next is, I don't know how you're crushing somebody's skull and eating their tongue, but the tongue is very tender. It's a nice,
Yeah. I was thinking about that.
I've had some nice tongue tacos.
Yeah. Well, and another that actually reminded me, there was, and I only found this on one source,
Man language.
but there was,
Take off your Dahmer glasses, will you, buddy?
oh my God. There was, and again, I only found this on like one or two sources, but there was one that looked like he had taken a bite out of his hand.
and we're sure that he took a bite out of his own hand.
Well, considering they found a chunk of his hand missing, I would assume so.
There are
At
other
least from-
people at that camp. Maybe someone else took a bite out of his hand.
Well, and they found the
Hey,
piece
man, they
of
got
flesh in his
hungry.
mouth.
Not
But
as
that's
tender
and
as the
that's the
tongue.
part that you could have said before I looked foolish.
Have you
You
had
know.
hand touch?
I hate you so much.
I like to let you go on your thing and
No,
reach
you
the end of
don't.
the road.
Let them theorize.
All right.
I'm going
Yeti.
I'm going Yeti.
I'm going to go with Yeti.
It was a wampa. From
Yeah, womp.
It's basically a Yeti.
I'm going with forced possession.
Interesting thought.
Because I don't like the other theories. The official closing of this is that it was an avalanche and they all got hypothermia and died. That is one of the theories.
Okay.
Is that an avalanche occurred?
I mean,
which a
yeah.
lot of people,
Close right off.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Right.
yeah, probably.
strong
but, like,
avalanche.
It
that
was-
sucks.
Yeah, I know. That is the official government reason. The other big theory is that the military and the government was involved, and they are
Tinfoil
covering
hat.
it up.
Okay,
I
so they
know-
came
Oh,
across a
wait,
nuclear
no,
silo,
time
and
out,
then they got
time out.
really crazy from all the radiation. Then they tore off all their clothes, and then it released the Vavampa, and then it got all crazy. Everybody,
some weird red room shit. Like what? They were spies. How is the government involved?
They weren't spies, but they found bits of radiation on their clothes.
oh,
Listen,
I was crazy.
only the Russian military have level 3.
Yeah,
They're getting too close.
Hey, we can't. We need to wake up tomorrow.
Allegedly.
Sprinkle that allegedly, y'all.
That's right. That's right.
But
they were getting too close to the level.
Well, I'll tell you what we are. We're 46 minutes on. We only got 2 done.
look
So,
it up.
how do you want to end this and do it in Natasha voice?
I believe that they were possessed, and that it could have been government. But what did that know?
Awesome.
Take notes, Scarlett Johansson. That's how you do a Russian accent.
No,
Anyway,
it's not.
next
I'm
story.
sorry, everybody. Anyway, look up the rest. Again, there was no way we were going to cover everything.
It's good stuff.
Good story, though. Good.
Yeah,
It's
no,
good
well
stuff.
done.
I love it.
it.
Pictures for the next episode.
I
would love a follow-up.
I could do a follow up for the next episode. It's just finding pictures that we can actually show. Other than like them being like, one of them, they're like this, which was really cute. Do we have it?
We have a video here.
So
this is Tbone here.
So this is me, and I kind of just want to let this one roll, and I've got some stuff I want to talk about afterwards.
All right, sounds good. Let's do that. And go.
Blue book like
The
Kelly's.
Flatwoods monster
Yeah.
case. This occurred on September 12, 1952. This whole thing happened at dusk, and there were a number of young people going off into the woods and saw some kind of fiery, glowing object that descended or came down. Two of the boys, Ed and Freddie, grabbed their mother, whose name was Kathleen May,
Playing from a
and
different.
she came back with the group to see this thing, what they describe as a creature. It's very tall. It's got eyes that are glowing red, and it scares them.
Project Blue Book still in the early years. And it was reported to the Air Force because there was something in the sky.
Investigators who went there after the sighting stated that there was an unusual smell or odor in that area. And it was said that the trees in the area were singed at the top. There were investigators who said that branches actually were broken. Now that's very interesting. That branches were broken by something that evidently came down. This is one of the instances in which Project Blue Book was genuinely actively doing serious investigations at that time.
I do recall seeing the May family sketches. They weren't extremely detailed, but they were similar. The family members all drew the same thing, which was interesting.
The official explanation was that it was a combination of a bright meteor and a delusion, a psychological case.
Most puzzling case. My father thought about that a lot and really couldn't conclude anything one way or the other.
Aliens. Like every single episode that I've been on, it's been stories of the ghostersons.
Hey,
Like-
hey.
Stories of the
Hey,
Paranow,
Hey,
man.
hey, hey. I had reincarnation one time.
Yeah.
I've mentioned aliens a few times into this, and I'm glad that you bring that up.
Because I want to talk more about aliens because I believe that it's far more likely that we have been visited by creatures from the beyond, by creatures out there in the far universe. And you may be wondering why I brought up the Flatwoods monster, because I think it's dumb. I think it's my favorite one that I found just because it's like a ridiculous story. The monsters are supposed to be 3 meters tall. Do you know how tall 3 meters is? That's like 10,
That's
12.
like 10. That's like 12 feet.
Like 12 feet.
A little more than that.
Big ass monsters that are apparently still there. They're apparently still in the West Virginia desert.
Yeah.
Desert.
Yeah.
The West Virginia woods hiding. Where is a 12-foot monster going to hide?
Have you asked Bigfoot?
Yeah.
Bigfoot?
I talked about Bigfoot.
I wasn't here when you talked about Bigfoot.
Yeah.
I think you were.
Was I?
No, that
No.
was Nick. Sorry.
No, I hadn't consumed Nicky yet.
he
No.
he hides in the
I hadn't
caves.
eaten him and disposed of his remains.
Yeah, he hides in the
But
caves.
how big is Bigfoot?
12 feet.
Allegedly.
12 feet?
Sprinkle
Yeah.
that allegedly, y'all.
He's like 3
big.
miles.
Really?
He's not called average.
Yeah, but
Bigfoot.
you can have large feet and still be normal size. Those things don't.
Yeah, look at me.
Yeah. But no, I think. Do you guys believe in aliens?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Something-
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Right.
Yep.
Oh,
Uh,
lay it on me.
Can we say space aliens? Just it's a hard time in America.
Hey,
right
you know
Oh,
what?
yeah,
Absolutely. Hey, you
you're
know
right.
what?
We've already
I
said
do,
some very bad things.
I do believe in
Space
in all
entities.
kinds of aliens, and I
They
think
took our job.
I believe in
Did
the
we say extraterrestrials by
intergalactic
chance?
Yeah.
terrestrial
Space
aliens
aliens.
that are
Space
outside
aliens.
of our galaxy or in our galaxy. Who knows where they are?
So let's go down that road a little bit, right? So right now, you see so much stuff happening online
Yeah.
with sightings more than ever,
Hmm.
right?
Absolutely.
Now, since AI has been out, it's almost hard to tell what's what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, but I could tell you if the video is coming from somebody's phone and in the background, you can hear how they talk. You're like, this guy doesn't even know how to use a computer. Right. But yet he's kind of filming something happening. So you're like, okay, that might be real. But let's go backwards a little bit. Few days ago, maybe about less than a week ago, they uncovered what's underneath the pyramids, right?
I'm sorry.
And that is awesome. They're calling it the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Now,
What?
ancient civilization. Oh, you haven't caught on to that
Yeah.
yet?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
So,
Yeah, give her a
I
little
don't have
background.
TikTok. Yeah.
but it is real. Yeah. So underneath the top of the pyramid, they found a structure that would they say it was like a mile down.
Yeah. Something like that.
Beams or posts or wells. We'll say wells that go about a mile underground to 2 other giant styled rooms. Right? Which pyramids were these? T, help me.
I don't remember.
Giza or something.
Giza?
Great Pyramids of
thank you.
Giza.
So the Egyptian pyramid.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And
The
so
ones that you're all thinking of when the term pyramid came to mind.
Yes.
correct.
Not the $100,000.
No.
No.
Not the Bass Pro Shop.
Not the one
pyramid.
underwater
not the,
either.
Not the Bass Pro
Now
Shop
around
pyramid.
each of these
Not the ones in Mexico.
wells is a coil-like system. They don't know if those are stairways or a way to generate power. Now, if you look at a lot of the pyramids, they are near a river, to where that could be way beyond their time of being able to generate electricity.
Yeah.
And or who has seen the movie Stargate, which is you look at the Pharaoh, look at the Sphinx, look at how that culture could be very alienistic, right? Maybe here before an ice age, before man was even really kicking around and left behind this, right? I have a buddy that was like, well, that's how it was built. And then the earth eroded over it. Nobody's building a mile upwards and then putting a pyramid on top of it. So I'm going to go with they dug that out, and to have the technology to be able to do that would be off. So between the sightings of what you see today and some of this new stuff that's being uncovered, what do you think? I know T, you're big into the alien side of things.
Yes, sir.
So what do you think? I mean,
I think that they found something and they built a pyramid on top of it to keep it hidden. I think that there is something going on.
yeah, I think well, the pyramid might be part of the thing that's underground. Just don't know really what they were really for. It's very, very possible. Very possible. What do you think? Well, first of all, what do you think of the video?
I think that thing looked like the monsters from Majora's Mask, the aliens from Majora's Mask. I ain't gonna lie. The first
Where
thing
do you think they got the idea?
is that where they got it from?
No, I mean the other reason that I pulled this up is because I saw a Flatwoods monster recently in Don, and I wanted to see where it came from. This is and especially in like Japanese culture, they are fascinated by the Flatwoods
love
monster.
that apparently.
And so a lot of it is like a lot of like monsters and aliens designs are based around the Flatwoods monster. That's because awesome. It's a striking image when you look at it and you're like, what the fuck is that thing? Like, and it's, you know, it makes you want to design something that looks kind of like it, but legally distinct.
Well, I mean, even going back into the technology
Flatwoods monsters
side
have like copyright for their intelligent property?
Well, I mean, listen,
sure.
One day we had no real cell phone. All of a sudden we have a cell phone, instantly a smartphone, where the technology minimized into this, you know, pocket computer, right? The stealth bomber, right, is... Are you making fun of me over here, T?
Yeah.
Hold on a second. I got something for you. There you go. The stealth bomber design was taken from somewhere. I don't think we kind of came up with that on our own either. So I do believe you're right about that. You know, they kind of get that image from somewhere, right? And then they run with it.
Okay. To go back to what my thoughts are back to me. I do believe in aliens. I don't know how deep I think into... I don't know enough about the Egyptian pyramids. I know a lot about Egypt. I don't know enough about that particular subject that just came out to have a full opinion on it. Check back next time.
Gotcha. Seabass.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack, definitely. I'm not the most familiar with the Flatwoods monster. I think the first, like we talked about the first episode, I did Bigfoot, and that's what it reminded me of, obviously. But in terms of like look and distinction, yeah, I mean, if I saw any images or that in real life, I would just cry and run away if I could, if I had just been like paralyzed or whatever. But in terms of the pyramids, though, like, yeah, like Miley, I'm not the most familiar with it. But in terms of its construction, it's like I probably have vague memories of watching like, oh, here is how they built the pyramids. They had all these ropes and pulleys, and you know they carve it all, and it's like that's how you get one block, and then you know it's like okay, but then they have to build like thousands of these blocks, and it's like how long does this take? And it's like they gotta they build the levels by going up and up and up and up, and it's like oh god, this takes hundreds of thousands of years to build if this is how they built them.
I agree.
So
I do wonder, like, why are they still here? If like
pyramids?
No.
Yeah, why are the pyramids made of stone still present?
No, I believe she's referring to the Flatwoods monster.
Well, and
just a glitch in the matrix.
Just aliens in general. Like, why stay on Earth? I don't quite understand that. Not that I think if they have such good technology, why are they still around us? I wouldn't want to be around a bunch of stupid beings.
Maybe it's their job.
Yeah, could be.
Are they protecting it? Are they keeping us away from probably?
Maybe we are the seeds they planted and they have to watch us grow and observe us like scientists. I don't know.
Could be. I don't know.
Could be anything. Really.
Maybe they're just
just
profoundly stupid versions of whatever creatures, and they got booted off. Maybe we are like the big planetary version of Australia, just like a big prison planet. Who knows?
No offense to Australia, we love you.
That's the history of Australia.
I won't go there because of the crazy bugs and stuff.
That's the history of Australia. It was started as a prison colony. That's how white people got there anyway. Of course, there were indigenous people there before, but yeah.
I like to think that we're kind of like sea monkeys to aliens, where they like. I like that idea a lot more, and they're just.
You saying it's an alien ant farm?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm with Maya on this. I believe that there are other beings out there. Because why wouldn't there be? Number one, but number two, you'd show up here and be like, Get me off it. Beat me up. The trailer, right? And you know, and you know, a lot of these things, like this meteor. Was there a meteor shower? No, it was probably a plane that went down and blew up, and the government had to cover it up, said it was a meteor. We got to get these hillbillies to say they saw the maid from the Jetsons out there. You know,
and I will say, if you look into it, like there are, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. Sure.
There are instances where it has been admitted to that government agencies have like ruined people's lives by convincing them that top secret high tech was aliens and that they should go forward and be like government agents have been like, yeah, you should talk about this, Cletus, and then they just like get their lives ruined.
Yep.
In addition, you'll find that a lot of people that do talk about aliens and like go to conferences and stuff are former government agents, are former DNI guys, former CIA guys, people with like a certain amount of clearance, and it has been theorized that one of the reasons that they go out there is that they are kind of in effect running a smokescreen for sort of more like high-tech weaponry or technology that that the FBI, the CIA, whatever, the alphabet soup doesn't want other countries to know that we have. And a good way to run interference is to bring up aliens, because it's a fun, sexy topic that people like talking about more than, say, updates in plane technology or updates in weapons technology or whatever. It's more fun to talk about aliens. I didn't just show you a 2-minute video about weapons technology. You know what I mean?
Right. I understand what you're saying.
I still wouldn't describe aliens as sexy.
You're not looking at the right aliens, clearly.
Yeah. What
meat
are you watching?
We were just talking about one doing a Soviet, right? Scarlett Johansson. She's pretty sexy. Right. She can't play that many roles that bad.
I will give you that one. I will give you that one. But
can't play Ghost in the Shell for shit, though.
This is okay. How did we manage to choose 3 topics that are going to get us canceled by the government and by the people?
There's enough people out there.
Who is caping for Scarlett Johansson? No one.
All 7 people love us. Don't worry about it.
No, all 7 of us.
All right. So on to producer's choice.
All right. What kind of awful shit do you got for us this?
Nothing.
More dolls.
But
More dolls.
It's always dolls with this fucking guy.
It's not always dolls. And when you say it like that, it sounds weird. Why is it just the legs, Drew? I don't know. So here we go. This is what we got. Let's put this up here.
Why do you have a mannequin in the closet? Why is it wearing a dress?
Right.
Slapped ham. Slapped
Big
ham.
shout out to our people over at Slapped Ham, of course.
Slapped ham.
We appreciate you letting us use these videos. And go.
A recent video shared by paranormal investigator Ghost Inspector Greg has caused quite the stir online, leaving viewers divided about what exactly was captured on camera.
Don't laugh. That's
The eerie footage, taken from a homeowner's security camera, begins with a tense scene as the resident nervously scans their living room.
that's like a save state. You died to the monster and you're like, oh, okay, reload that save.
So save your laughter for the end.
It's great. I love you, Slapped Ham. Your videos are great.
All right.
Ooga chaka ooga.
In the briefest of moments, a black humanoid silhouette seems to peek around a corner, lingering for just a fraction of a second before swiftly disappearing from sight.
Ooh, there he is. Okay, we're gonna catch him. Until next time. Can you tell me what you want? And he's gone.
The homeowner continues to explore the basement.
Where'd you go? Where'd you go? You back there? I see you, buddy. Can you tell me what you need?
Time and time again, he sees something dark yet brief moving in the shadows.
Oh, he does not like the light. I don't need to use the light, man.
As expected, the clip quickly went viral among paranormal communities, with many viewers convinced this was definitive evidence of a shadow person, an infamous phenomenon described frequently in ghost lore as dark, featureless human shapes that vanish the instant they're spotted.
I'll put the light away. He wants to play.
Notably, when the homeowner later searched the home thoroughly, no physical signs of forced entry, footprints, or disturbance were found. What do you think? Was this shadowy visitor truly supernatural or just a trick played by our imagination? Share your thoughts down in the comments.
How do you do that? Can you please wait a second? Oh, okay. That's not fun.
All right.
Went through like a roller coaster of emotions on that one.
I mean, the whole time I was just looking at it like cut.
Yeah.
Like it was pretty apparent where
Pretty edited.
Yeah, where the edits in that video were. Like
every time he turned a corner.
Yeah, every time it's like did you guys see Birdman?
Yeah,
The
the cut.
2015? Yeah, it's like it was the same trick that they did in that, where it's like you go into a corner, you go into a dark space, and that's where you hide the cut.
Yeah,
like that's where you hide where the person in the black mocap suit was moved, or where the next clip starts.
Yep.
Yeah,
I can agree with that.
Also, the worst acting that I think I've ever seen.
What are you talking about?
Stop it. Don't you ever just wake up like that? That's how I wake up.
I'm not gonna lie. The only thing that was going through my head that whole time wasn't, oh my gosh, this could be real, because like again the cuts, but it was a very, very realistic depiction of having a teenager.
Yeah,
they come down from the kitchen and then go to the basement and hide from you the whole time.
Yeah.
You think you see something out of the corner of your eye? I'm like, oh, that's just my son.
That's just my
Again,
kid.
Also, like,
he's getting his chicken wings again.
If I'm seeing like a void of humanity, like I'm moving.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what I'm not doing. I'm not going down and like finding a video
Grabbing the
for
smallest
gram.
flashlight that you have.
and then apologizing for having the light.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So even in the studio, we have these remotes that turn on all the lights. If you know you have this thing in your house, would your house not be lined with shit like this? Where it's just all
Absolutely.
floodlights.
I'll tell you, that ain't gonna be my house anymore.
No.
That's somebody else's house.
Sell the
now.
damn house.
Yeah, like if the house tells me to get out, I'm getting out. And I'm like, nothing, enough said.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
good
you own
schools.
this
I don't
place.
care. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the shadow creature goes, I do think that there's these shadow creatures, silhouettes of people. I know Nico actually has experienced that in his own house a couple times. Is that right? A lot. So he's kind of got that happening. And listen, he's still here, so it doesn't kill you. And or he just fights him off. I don't know.
Nico actually is the shadow person.
He might be the shadow
He
person.
actually is.
Deke, what do you think?
Well, from my experience, I would talk to the guy too. But from my experience, the silhouette was too sharp, right?
Yeah.
When you see shadow people, if you've ever experienced, if you see that, they're not clear, and you never see it straight on. It's always out of the corner of your eye.
Yeah.
And then when you turn, it's never there. That one was like, hey, I want to be on camera.
It was so clean cut. the edges.
Yeah. Two.
No, it was very obviously
Yeah.
like a mask, like a
That's what-
mocap suit.
Yeah.
That's why I said
have
it was
one of
Peter
those.
Pan's shadow. He wanted to play. He was moving like Peter Pan's shadow. Yeah, it was. But what always makes these even better and more realistic is the European or Australian accent that they have. I get sucked in by that European accent. You're just like, they sound smart.
It's totally real.
It's totally real.
They would never lie.
But usually if you don't run away from it. In my opinion, you don't go get a flashlight. You try to follow it while you have it there. You don't turn, because if you turn your back and then it's gone, how do you know it still went downstairs? Let me go get my little flashlight. I'm sure it went down these stairs.
I'm sorry. You follow the thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Why not?
That is what leads to people dying in horror movies.
No, it's all energy, right?
Let's split up, gang.
It's all energy. So I'm fascinated by it, and I want to talk with them and go, hey, what are you doing here? Right? Because it's energy. Now you'll know, and Nico will back me up on it. You'll know if it's a bad spirit, right? You'll feel it because it's cold and you can feel that energy. But if they're harmless, am I right saying that? Yeah. Right. If they're harmless, you'll feel that as well.
Have I never experienced a harmless ghost then? Because anytime
it's
seen one-
small or like a child, so that's immediately
I've seen
why.
small ones that were children. They were not nice.
So you follow it.
Salt and burn either way. So, my experience, and I got a quick story before we end the show. About a week and a half ago, and I think I was telling Deke about this, what happened to me. So I have lost my parents, and I've lost my brother.
Yeah.
I have all three urns at the house. Okay. Don't really know where to put them. There are two are in the garage. You know what I mean? One my brother's
If you
in the
ever want
house.
to control Drew, you can just grab him and then turn into his Paul Bearer.
Pretty much something. I'm figuring there might be a property tax benefit if I bury him in the yard as a cemetery, or something. I don't know. Either way, so we get weird things that happen in the house once in a while. I don't get scared of it because not once have I ever been hurt by an entity or a ghost of any kind. And listen, I have kids. Stop. I have kids, and I am the scary thing in the house, regardless of what it is. So if my kids feel safer with me being the scary thing in the house versus the ghost, right? So I'm downstairs on the computer in the basement where the washer dryer's got a computer down there. And I can't smoke in the house, so I have a fan in the window that blows out. So that's where I go. That's my man escape down there kind of thing. And there's a bunch of stuffed animals down there, right? Because the kids they run out of space in their rooms, and one of them is a Ratatouille stuffed animal.
Nice.
That actually like moves and talks and stuff. And
No
the
longer
batteries
nice.
are out. Okay, this is not where that's going. So let me calm you there. And so you have one side of the basement here, and I have this little closet area that's on a bunch of laundry baskets over here. Probably about 6 to 8 feet away, this side is the washer dryer, and the washing machine's going consistently. I have a OCD germaphobe in the house, so we're washing stuff consistently, and the machine's shaking a little bit. I'm facing this way. I'm not even paying attention to what's happening on either side. Watch it on the computer. And out of the blue, I hear bung, like something hitting metal. And I was like, what the hell was that? It took me by surprise. And out of the corner of my peripheral vision, I see this thing, like off the corner of my eye. And so I get up and I look, and Ratatouille is laying next to the washing machine about 8 feet from where it was. And I was like, now I'm second questioning myself, right? I'm like, was it the machine? Maybe it was close and I thought it was far, and the machine rattling knocked it off and it bumped into it or something. So I go upstairs and I talk to my wife, and I'm like, hey, that Ratatouille doll downstairs, where was that? She's like, oh, it's by the closet. I'm like, come here for a minute. I start bringing her downstairs, and I'm like, that's where it is now. And she's like, what does that mean? I'm like, I didn't move it there. I'm like, this thing flew across the room on its own and hit the washing machine. And she was like, really? I'm like, yep. She's like, nope. And then went upstairs. I picked this thing up.
woman.
I put it back where it was now. Every day it's been there ever since. And every time I come down and I light up a cigarette, I look at it. I dare you to do it again. Right. And it just won't. And I keep saying things every time something happens in my house. I'm like, do it again then. And my daughter's like, Dad, it probably doesn't work that way. You know, you don't know what they're like on the other side where they're like, no, I got to regenerate for like a week to build up that strength. If you've ever seen the show Ghosts, it's comical. I love that show. And they're all screaming at the top of their lungs trying to do their one ghost power, and it zaps them out for like a week, right?
That's good TV.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I'll promote that all day. But yeah, so that's my ghost story. It doesn't scare me. If I saw a shadow, I might get a little taken back. But as a gun toter, I'm like, it better be a shadow. And my kids better be in their rooms, right? Yeah. Because if it's somebody breaking in my house, well, you better be wearing Kevlar because that's what it's like at my house. So anybody else got anything you want to add or share before we end this?
Please don't cancel us.
Tune in next month where it's just going to be Nico 3 times.
Yeah.
We're all going to be
Yeah, we got our replacements in studio.
We're gonna come back and his
Nico, Connor, and Kent starring.
Yeah, right? Next month the doors are just going to be locked.
No, hey, listen,
it's going to be 3 skeletons.
And if anybody takes us seriously and gets offended, well, that's your problem. Listen, folks, till next time, we appreciate the support here. Stories of Paranow. We got a couple of things. We're still working on the coven.
Still working on the coven.
Still working on.
Yeah.
It's planning's hard, guys. Planning is hard, especially. That's it.
Well, it is. Well, and we might have a surprise guest coming around the corner too, which should be pretty exciting. But until then, thanks, Deke, for joining us today. Nico, always good.
Thank you.
Connor, my man, who's the quietest guy in the room, probably the smartest one in the room. He is a ghost. He's not real.
Or both.
He might be an alien.
Or both.
Alien ghost. He's like,
oh wait, that's gonna be my new gamer tag.
Apparently, I can't even talk. Bye.